get the recording going. Right. So where I wanted to start for everyone is I wanted to start with where we ended off last week. And I don't know if you remember, but we spoke about, it was Alan that said that we need guidance and advice. So did is I went and took if we remember, we started with kind of ChatGPT. And I basically went and I did this in more detail. And I said, right, how do you structure your portfolio? How do you take into account the 2024 Knight Frank Wealth Report? How do you take 50 years worth of data? How do you use modern portfolio planning and lifestyle stage investing? And then current macroeconomic trends. So all of the important stuff that is happening around the world. And then it basically built out. So this is the way, it's like anything in life. If you ask good questions, you get good answers. So I broke down what the asset classes are. I'm not going to read through all of these because everyone can read it in their own time. But you basically got, what is the asset class? What is it? Why it matters? Then you've got private equity. You've got crypto. You've got commercial property. You've got bonds, primary, secondary homes, gold, passion, and then why it matters. Okay. And then it goes to the revised strategic portfolio allocation. So this looks at age groups. So you've got the 20s, you've got the 30s, you've got the 40s, the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. And then finally, it's got the key macro informed principles. It's got the breakdown if you want to see the table all in one place. And it's even got a little chart with the colors and everything. What is important is it says here, this is not financial advice. And, I did, as a matter of importance here, I did go to the family office. I did get their opinion on it. And they said, in principle, they were happy with it. But they prefer, obviously, doing one-to-one with people. And I said, nope, I completely understand that. That's exactly what the family office is. Just as a quick reminder, if I can find the slide quickly. So when you're part of the mastermind and with the family office, you literally sit down with them and they get very clear on like, what are your individual circumstances? What is your Enneagram and wealth profile? What's your asset liability modeling, etc. So you've got all of that in terms of this process. So what he was, what they came back to me and they said, look, we only do this one-to-one. I said, look, I completely understand that. Obviously, it's far better to do it one-to-one and have it individualized and personalized. But for those that can't afford to reach the level of mastermind, I'm very much about democratization, which is why, I would recommend that that we wrote this report. And again, the call to action would be if you wanted more, on the next steps, then you could literally book a call with the team. So that is it. How long is it? 7 pages as a report. And I'm quite proud of this. I think it's actually extremely powerful. And why I like this, again, is that you wouldn't be able to get access to this type of information a couple of years ago. Now, because we've got access, I know there's a couple of mastermind members that are here with me today. We've got access to getting this information real time on a monthly basis. So I've learned so much in the last 2.5 years. It's been phenomenal. And now what we're trying to do is synthesize this information. And although the mastermind members get it in a bespoke way for them and their families, for everyone else, we want to provide it in a democratized form. So before I go any further, any questions or thoughts around the conversation we had last night, portfolio planning, how important it is to build a robust portfolio, how we can kind of keep doing what we've always done and copy the financial industry, and the chances are that 99% of us. This is a scary stat. I was doing a YouTube title, and it's actually flipping scary if you think about it. 99% of us statistically at the age of 65 are either going to be dead, broke, reliant on the government, or financially trapped. Those are not 4 good examples, basically. And only 1% of us statistically is going to, end wealthy. And it's that whole Tony Robbins principle. Like we can kind of keep doing the same thing, and we're gonna keep getting the same results. Or Tony Robbins' principle is, if you want to be successful, copy a successful person. If you want to be wealthy, copy a wealthy person. Like why would we not copy? I mean, this is literally straight out of the family office. But then also taking into account all the principles that I've been learning. And again, I say this because technically anyone that's got access to ChatGPT or AI now could ask these questions. But it's only because I've been there for the last 2.5 years. And I'm sure if I look through Elizabeth, Shona, Uroy is definitely there. Nirvana's there as well. Safina's new. Steve, I'm not sure from your side. But what I'm trying to point out is the people that are there actively and listening whenever Anthony and the family office and Garth and them speak and coming to the wealth weekends, it's helped me be able to ask the right questions. Like, I'll give you an example, okay? This might sound like some fancy language, but like modern portfolio theory, lifestyle investing. If you'd told me that 2 years ago, I wouldn't even known what that was. I've never even heard of it. So what it's enabled me to do is to ask better questions and then to be able to sense check it with the family office, which is always nice because you can never 100% trust AI or ChatGPT. To sense check it to make, nope, no, that's pretty resilient. And it's like, cool, that's a pretty powerful tool. So, questions, thoughts before we go any further? I don't see the point of just bouncing from one topic to the other if we don't go deeper into it. So, any questions or any thoughts around what I've shared? I have put it out so for the wealth hackers, I've put it out for so if you go to the wealth hacker group, I've put it on WhatsApp. I still need to. Sorry, I will post it in the Zoom. Sorry, in the school thing. But there it is. There, you can literally click on it. You've got access to it. I will also, for the mastermind members, I'll also put it up into for everyone there. For the mastermind members, I'm always a little bit concerned of overwhelming them because they don't really need to read this because each of them has access already to Calio. So it's a bit of a hard one for me because I want to share the information always, but I don't want to overwhelm people with too much information and then they don't read the important stuff. So this is the kind of what I wrote here. So it's 50 years of asset performance data tailored for your age groups. Covers everything from equities, property, private equity, crypto, bonds, legacy planning, and more. And with strategic allocations, you can model or adapt starting today. Now, I'm concerned by the silence because I've either confused you or we can move on. Shona said, what did Alan think? Alan couldn't join us today. He did actually send me a personal apology. And I'm actually going to meet with him on Monday. So, yeah, I only got I bring these out every Friday. And I got the feedback from the family office. I can't remember Wednesday or Thursday, and I didn't want to share it externally until we kind of share it because we do this every Friday. Every Friday, we do something of value around the wealth strategy, and then we tie it together with what the live session is now that we're doing now in terms of that process. So there are a couple of things that I want to share with all of you, and we've been having some conversations internally. So let me show you something. So we work a lot with this company. So let me just open it up here. So this is the company that we've been working with in America, and they've been absolutely amazing in helping us take what we're doing to the next level. So if you look here and you go to their calendar, they've got a calendar that's live, and you can see how many live sessions they've got. So they've got one here for beginners. They've got Tech Tuesday, which is all about tech. They've got sales training on a Wednesday. They got more advanced on a Thursday, and then they kind of got offer clarity. If it's in yellow, it's free for anybody. And if it's in red, it's part of their paid community. So to use our analogy, this would be the wealth hackers would have the red ones, and obviously the mastermind members as well. So what we're wanting to do, and if I show you as an example, if I was to go to the calendar here, if I go to the calendar here, then it's the same thing. So every Wednesday, we've got effectively accountability and platform. So Alex is live every single Wednesday, and he can help people with accountability and platform. Then every Friday, I'm available with regards to the wealth strategy. We want to add at least one more, or we want crowd participation or community participation, whatever you want to call it, as to what would be valuable. So I'll give you an example. what Alex thinks is very valuable when he talks to a lot of people is designing your wealth plan and kind of using that freedom calculator and actually, yeah, just going through it, like very similar to what I did with Susanna a couple of weeks ago, where like we went through the freedom calculator and we kind of helped her build her wealth plan. Now, I'm not sure whether people will do that live, but the assumption or the invitation would be, I don't know, at 4 or 5 o'clock on a Thursday evening, I am alive and I literally turn up and I say, right, we're going to use the tools. Maybe it's Tool Thursday. I don't know. I'm being silly. But you like use the tools, use the calculators, use the wealth plan, whatever. Tool Tuesday. Maybe that sounds better. But anyway, but the point is, I need volunteers. Like I'm not going to teach the same thing week in and week out. I'll kill myself. So it'll need to be people actually asking questions and etc. So I wanted to just ask this group, like, what do you think would be, between Alex and I think 3 sessions a week is plenty. In fact, if anything, it's too much, because I'd rather have less and have quality than have too many and like no one turns up. It's not worth my time, or so. But we do want to add massive value, because what we're learning in terms of communities is that yes, you've got the courses, you've got access to Wealth Going Global, you've got access to Asset Class Mastery and all the other ones, Enneagram Wealth and everything. But what people really get value out of is being able to turn up live. And just by the way, I know this now because I'm doing it. Every Monday at 4 o'clock, I turn up and I deal with the founder, Ted, in the company I just showed you. Every Wednesday, Alex turns up and has sales training with Benny, who's their COO. You get my point. We're using it on a weekly basis to help ourselves get better. And we're thinking, okay, well, they're doing it so effectively. Why shouldn't we be doing it for our community? So this is that moment where I need your help, please. I'd like to, and again, you guys are the most engaged because you're here already. So, how many sessions a week do you think for the wealth hackers, and obviously the mastermind members, because they get access to everything, but how many do you think is optimal? Currently, we got 2. How many do you think we should have? I've got 3 different questions. How many do you think we should have? What time do you think they should be? Okay. And 3, do you have anything that you think would be a burning item? Like if you take that other company, obviously they help people with internet marketing and building businesses. So they've got things like sales training, how to do strategy, how to build an offer, etc. Obviously with us, it's investing, it's property, it's deals, it's the platform, it's strategy, etc. But what would be the most valuable? Shona said, as a mastermind members, I'm already covered. Yeah, you are, Shona. And that's the point. I also don't want to overwhelm people, like if that makes sense, So just remember that, just to remind everyone how this works, okay? You've got Wealth University that's free. Like people can go, they can go online, they can do it all. It's for free, but it's all done yourself. You can watch a video, do it yourself. Then you've got Wealth Hackers, which is a digital community. You've got access to the courses. It's the Netflix for wealth. I turn up, Alex turns up every Wednesday. I turn up every Friday. And it's kind of done with you. Like you do all the courses yourself, but if you want questions, like we're available. And then you've got the mastermind, which is what Shona's referring to, where it's done in a personal one-to-one basis, and you've got access to the family office, and you've got access to the monthly coaching and accountability. And that's where we're holding your hand, and it's kind of done with you, for you. So that kind of 3 different levels on the aeroplane in terms of that process. Okay, so when you say 1 p.m. Shona, I assume you mean UK time, huh?
No, I meant 1 session a week,
Oh,
PM in the afternoon, not 1 p.m.
oh, fair enough. And PM, what time is when in the afternoon? Late afternoon is what you're saying?
Yeah, something like that. Maybe early evening, because then people are home from work.
Yeah. No, because look, Alan has said to me, we need to look at different time zones, to like, or not so much time zones, but different times, because people, as you say, are working or whatever. Look, there's a part of me just very selfishly, like I want to have a life where I'm not working every
I
night.
know, I
And
know,
I
I
already
know.
present generally 2 nights a week already, webinars and stuff. So it's just something that selfishly
Yeah.
I'm thinking through as well.
That's
Like,
why I
if,
said only
if,
1 a week.
if you said to me 5 p.m. on a Friday evening, I'd be like, you couldn't pay me $10,000 to do this.
Bless your
So,
heart.
Okay, Steve said, I'm happy with 2 sessions a week. Timing is a challenge for me because I'm on the wrong side of the world. So I'll commit to whatever. Okay. Okay. Any ideas on, I'm happy with 2 sessions a week. Okay, that's interesting. Okay. Yeah, please, any feedback, good and bad. Like, hey, I'm frustrated, like whatever. Like, I'd love to know. And then also, because what we're wanting to do, so just so that you know, is that we're going to have the investor roadmap. So people can go online and like the training Alex does on how to use the platform, how to fund your wallet, whatever. It'll be available. It's there. People can use it. Anyone can get access to it. But if they want to kind of have coaching and like talk to him or whatever, then he'll be available on a Wednesday. And we're doing that for 2 reasons. It stops us having 42 million WhatsApps or emails where people are like, oh, I don't know how. And it's like, well, then come to the session, you know? And then equally for me on a Friday, it's strategy, it's deals, it's updates, it's, et cetera, in terms of that process. So, yeah, but if there's any gaps or anything, maybe it's once a month we should do the wealth plan, for the community. But I think what I'm trying to say, and it must be really hard because I must be speaking in Mandarin or something, but I'm asking for feedback to like, how can we add more value to you? So there's no crazy ideas. It might be, I mean, literally to give you an example, okay? And I don't know how to say this without it coming across arrogantly, so I apologize up front. But I'm part of a men's group called MKP, which is a Mankind Project. It's been around since the 70s, and there's 12 of us in the group. And once every 2 weeks, we meet every 2 weeks, but once every, what would it be, every 24 weeks, you are king. Okay, so that means you run the session. And that means you have to run the session, you have to add value. So I thought to myself, I deal with quite a few people that don't know their purpose and like they're kind of struggling a little bit and they don't quite know what they should be doing with their lives. And so I thought to myself, well, there's a beautiful exercise I've been through where you go back to being your inner child and like, what did you enjoy as a child? Because the chances are the things you enjoyed as a child and the things you enjoy as an adult, like if you can do that and get paid to do it, it'll be phenomenal. I mean, I literally had a coaching session with one of the mastermind members about this just yesterday. And I suddenly realized that I created this exercise for them. It's a 30-minute guided exercise. I literally took them through it, like how to find your inner child and basically your purpose. And it mixed together with Ikigai, which is the Japanese concept. I'm sure I'm not pronouncing it right, but it's irrelevant, of basically doing what you love in the world, getting paid for it. It's what the world needs. And what's the fourth one? Anyway, what you're good at, what you're good at. And you put all four together and right, the bullseye right in the middle is, if you're doing that. And I've had the personal fortune of seeing my uncle who said to me multiple times, I go on holiday every single day and I get paid to do it. Like when you do what you love and you're getting paid to do it, it's phenomenal. I'm lucky to do, I mean, again, one of the questions is, what would you do for free? I would do what I'm doing right now for free. I love it. I love it. It's a gift that I've been given. Now, why am I giving this whole little diatribe? Like I suddenly thought to myself, purpose. How many people in our community need purpose? Like, or would love to do this exercise? And then I think to myself, well, when am I supposed to do it? I don't know. Like, is it a monthly session that we hold, or is it I just bring up, because there's so much stuff, and again, there's so much stuff and so much training I've done, one that comes through all the time management, etc. You get my point. There are so many of them that we could be doing on a regular basis to add value to people. But what I'm asking for is to try and do this the other way around. Okay, so as an example, again, if I share my screen here. I'm weeks ahead. So we adding value all the time. We're trying to add value all the time. I am weeks ahead of the team today. So these are all white papers and books or booklets, workbooks that I have already created. So the one is private equity and property investing and how to navigate volatility. This one is the psychology of money and investing in uncertain times. Returning to the inner child, finding a purpose, the one I just spoke about. And then Robert Kiyosaki's Wealth Playbook, a practical guide to financial freedom. And then obviously the how to structure your portfolio is the one that we did last week in terms of that process. Now, I know I only put this up, 17 minutes before we went live, but I would really ask you to go and, tell me what you want. And by ticking it, you can also help me get clear on the priority. Okay. And then what I would also really appreciate is if there's others that you want, just write them down. Like imagine if I was a fairy godmother. I know I look like one, but imagine if if it was, let's keep one simple. Time management. I'd love help with time management. Cool. And then we structure in a time management session. Hopefully you're all getting my point here around, I don't know what people want. So if you don't ask, I can't give it to you in terms of that process. Okay. So, my key guy. Yeah, no, Thomas, I know how to spell it. I'm just not sure I know how to pronounce it in terms of it. So I'll pull it up just for everyone because I'm talking about it. So, I mean, this is an exercise. Just by the way, the reason I'm being able to do all this stuff is because of how awesome technology is getting. But yeah, here it is here. So it's all about returning to your inner child. It's your Ikigai, so it's what you love, what the world needs, what you can get paid for, and what you're good at. Your passion, your mission, your vocation, your profession, and then your Ikigai, which sits in the middle. And it's basically a 30-minute guided exercise to take you through this, to reconnect with your child. What did you enjoy? What do you enjoy in your present? Then you sit in a group to share, and then you finally come up with your purpose. And I literally ran the men through this on Monday evening. And funny enough, I took one of our mastermind clients through it just yesterday in terms of that process. So who would like to do that as a main interest? Steve said, I value what I'm getting right now. Thanks very much. Nisha said, Ikiga. Okay. Oh, yes. Someone actually, yeah, no, you are right. Sophia says, yes, please. Shoda says, yes, sounds interesting. Okay. So what I'm going to do is what I think we should do is each week we'll have like a learning session, and then we'll also have time. So let's make that then next week's session. Although next week's session we'll be wrapping up with the challenge, and you guys are invited there. It's the final session of the VIP room session. So it might be the week after. But yeah, for Safina and Shona, if you want to do that exercise, then I would just say, like, just vote on that WhatsApp group if you don't mind, and then I will do it. And I just want to be organized because it's making sure you got things like music, because there's certain songs I like to play. I did it live, by the way. So there's certain songs I like to play while we're running the exercise, etc. And I'd like to give people a bit of warning, because I think a session around purpose could be very valuable for a lot of people in terms of that process. The other thing that I wanted to talk about was this here. Now I've got to try to find it. So I've been given a special invite by Robert Kiyosaki to go to this investor conference. So it's run by the real estate guys, and you basically get on a boat in Miami. You go down to the Bahamas, St. Thomas and St. Martin. They've been doing I think this is the 23rd one. They do them every single year. The speakers that you've got are Robert Kiyosaki, Peter Schiff, George Gammon, Mike Maloney, Ken McElroy. He's the real estate guy for Robert Kiyosaki. Anyway, you can read them. I'm not going to repeat all of them. And you can see here, so it's 40 seminars at Land and Sea, expert hot topic panels, interactive roundtable discussions, network cocktail receptions, private parties and events, optional activities and excursions, and dinners with faculty members. So it happens once a year. I've told you already, it's the 20th to the 29th. So I'm going to be going to this. Robert basically invited me personally, and he kind of said to me along the lines of, because I don't know if you've seen the picture with me holding the book, my book. And I basically said to him, this is what we do, and you had a massive impact in this. And if it wasn't for your book 24 years ago, Wealth Migrate wouldn't exist. And anyway, he basically he called me over and he said, if this is what you do, you have to come on this boat trip, because all the right people are going to be on this boat trip, blah, 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 blah. So yeah, if you're interested in that, just reach out to me personally. You've all got my details, and I can share. I managed to get 5 tickets because they're pretty much sold out, but I managed to get 5 tickets for us. Safina, I wanted to go, but I booked for my holiday. Yeah, no, unfortunately, it is lastminute.com. I will get the dates for next year. I didn't actually, I'd heard about it before, but I haven't heard about it for a long time until Robert Kiyosaki told me about it. So yeah, but if you do think, if anyone's interested, let me know. I'm keen to go with a group of people. It'd be great. in terms of that process. Okay, so that's that. So what I suggest we then do is that today I want to pivot to the next book. And remember that the Wealth Hackers, you're always getting access to stuff long before we kind of sharing it possibly with other people, and no one else is getting to go through it. So what I did with this workbook is, and obviously if you've got any questions about anything, just type them in the chat box for me. So what I did with this with this workbook is that I took all the information. So remember, I took all the information in the previous one, the one we went through last week. But this time I said, listen, help me build a workbook, which is a practical guide so that it's actually got action steps through the process. And again, it sort of took the key takeaways, etc. I'm not going to kind of go through these again because these were the same as what we went through last week. But what we did is we then built it, we being me and the machine, built it into a workbook, a checklist. So what you've now got is like you've got the knowledge, but you've actually got an action plan as to what you could do. So if you take here each one of the, so it's got each one of the action points. So it's got the action point, and then it's got your freedom plan checklist. So I've played the cash flow game 10 plus times. I've started or planned a side business. I own at least one real income producing asset. I've converted earned income to passive income streams. I own gold, silver, Bitcoin, or other real commodities. I've consulted with tax and legal professionals, and I've actively teach or mentor others financially. Okay, now, you don't have to put it in the chat room, but there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Give yourself a quick score out of 7. I'm happy if you want to put it in the chat box, but you don't have to. What would you give yourself out of 7? So if you're doing it, you get a 1. If you're not doing it, you get a 0. So if you're doing all 7, you'd be 7 out of 7. If you are doing 4 out of them, you would be a 4 out of 7. As an example, I have not played the cash flow game 10 times, so I would be a negative on that. I've started and planned a side business. I own at least one real thing. I've converted income to passive. I own Bitcoin, actually. I've consulted tax and legal, and I actively teach. So I'd be 6 out of 7. Safina's 4. Nirvana's 6. Thomas is 6. Natalie's 4. Shona's 3. Cool. See how cool this gets? I always think scorecards are so awesome because now it starts to get real. So now we take like what Robert Kiyosaki like taught us like last week, you know, because I went through the lessons, but now it gets real in terms of actual application. Okay, so then the next section was, and the cool thing is for all of us is like, right, what do we need to do to go to the next thing? Like I need to play a cash flow quadrant. Right, then this is your freedom plan checklist. So this is all now about section 2, which is all about the system is rigged. So remember the way this is done. Part 1 is the key takeaways and action points. And then there's your checklist for part 1. Okay, hopefully you can see how this works now. Part 2 is the system is rigged, don't be a victim. And here's your checklist. So you need to study the history of money and central banks. You need to adjust your financial strategy to hedge against inflation. You need to track the purchasing power of your savings or retirement accounts. You need to audit your tax strategy to maximize potential deductions. You need to read alternative financial education books and articles. You need to advocate for financial education reform in your schools or community. And you need to prepare for the next economic downturn with cash reserves and a plan. Okay, so now there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, there's 7 again. That's unusual. So if I take myself as a guinea pig, study the history of money and central banks, I'd give myself a half. I've definitely done it, but I definitely could do more. But I think I've done quite a lot with Ray Dalio on the history of money. It would probably be the central banks part that I would need to, you know, look at. So I'll give myself a half there. Adjust your financial strategy to hedge against inflation. I think I'm pretty good there, you know, between business and alternative assets, etc. Track the purchasing power of your savings. That's an interesting one because I mean, I literally came up with the global wealth index so that you could track the purchasing power, not just of your savings, but also the currency you're investing in. So I definitely give myself a tick there. Audit your tax strategy to maximize potential deductions. I was very lucky here. You know, when I was in London, for those of you that live in England, in the late 90s, early 2000s, you could be an employee and you could pay your 40% tax plus your 10% NI. But there were companies in those days, one of them being Tax Etc., another one being First Contact. And when you landed there, they would set you up with a company, they'd set you up with a bank account, and then you would run your whole little, you were effectively an employee, but you were running your whole business as a contractor. And I mean, my effective tax was like 10%. And my mates always used to say to me, "Yeah, but you're cheating the system." And I was like, "No, guys, you are paying 50% in tax, and I'm paying 10%. And that 40% is how I bought my first house in England, legally." So my point being is that I've always done this right from a very young age, my early 20s. Read alternative financial education books and articles. Hopefully all of us can tick that box because we're even here. Advocate for financial education reform in your schools and community. That's one. I could definitely do more. I'm going to give myself a note there because I do it within our own community, but I don't really, yeah. I have tried to bring Lemonade Day, which is how you teach children about business through a Lemonade Day stand. It's a massive charity out of America that's backed by Google for Entrepreneurs. They have about, well, when I last checked, about 300,000 kids a year. And I did get the rights to bring that to South Africa and Africa. But it actually fell in the too hard bucket. I did it for 2 years. I couldn't get any corporate sponsorship. I put in about $20,000 myself to run the thing, and I was like, this is just not sustainable. And then prepare for the next economic downturn with cash reserves and a plan. I could definitely do more there, so I'm going to put a note there. So where was I at? I should probably write on the screen while I'm talking. Anyway, so I was half, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4.5. Let's make that 5. Yeah, I'd be 5 out of 7. So, yeah, interested where everyone else would be. It's a more difficult one. So I can see Safina's a 4. Thomas, I assume you're talking about this one being a 4. Natalie a 3. Shona a 4. Okay, let's go to the third one, which is now about the cash flow quadrant. Where do you stand? Okay, and this is, so know your current quadrant: employee, self-employed, business owner, investor. Get educated on transitioning to a business owner or investor. Seek mentors and model successful B&I leaders, and invest in financial education for the journey. Yeah, I'd be a 4 out of 4 there. I mean, I think for the last 20 odd years, that's 20 longer, actually 25 years. That's all I've ever done. Ever since I read Rich Dad Poor Dad in 2001, I've understood this and moved very consciously. I shared it with you last week, how I moved from the E, the S, the B to the I. Get educated. Yep. Seek mentors. You've seen the amount of money I've invested in myself to learn, and then invest in financial education. Yeah, I can see quite a few people are 4s. Yep, Glenn saying just brilliant. Okay, is this valuable just for all of you? Like, can you see how? Because my logic, as I said to you already, was like take the theory and the kind of the learning, but how do you build a checklist so that we actually got a working like workbook to walk away from? I'm going to share this with you, by the way, if you're nice to me, and then you can all kind of go through it. Okay, then mastering the 4 asset classes. So again, just to remind you, because this is something that I learned that was new. I didn't know this before. He talks about them in order. So you got business and then real estate and then paper assets and then commodities. And if I remind you, you start businesses to make money. With that money, you buy real estate. You can take advantage of the leverage and the depreciation. He's not that excited about paper assets, so he kind of just skips over that one completely. He uses real estate to accelerate the process. And then between business and real estate, he buys commodities. And his whole logic is to get back to commodities. So in this space, part 4, is assess my current portfolio distribution across the 4 current assets. So that's what we've been talking about all day, actually, is portfolio construction. Decide if I need to shift more into business or real estate. I'm probably the opposite. I'm only in business and real estate. I'm like 90% plus in business and real estate. I probably need some more diversification on the other side of the fence. Think about using paper assets for dividend income. So again, I've spoken to you a lot about Warren Buffett. And if you are using paper assets, you want to be looking at income producing assets. Determine what commodities I want to earn. It's quite an interesting one, actually, because he goes on and on and on about gold and silver. And I've never really liked gold or silver. And the reason being is it doesn't earn an income. Bitcoin's exactly the same, by the way. So I don't know. I mean, you obviously get great growth in Bitcoin. And, you know, his example of gold where he bought $450,000 worth of gold, and then 10, 20 years later, he's buying a house for $4.5 million, which is the same equivalent in gold and as $450,000. And I'm like, maybe I should have some gold. By the way, for those of you that are, you know, you've all got access to this. If you go to the classroom and you go to asset class mastery, they're all here. So like gold and silver is actually here. There it is there. And the company that I got to come and do it actually does the gold and silver for Kalia, for our family office team. And then learn tax and legal strategies to protect and multiply. So that's the whole thing around real estate and how you can use depreciation and leverage. Yeah, I'd probably give myself a 2 out of 5 for that one. Okay, so then the next one is debt, taxes, and the game the rich play. So this is the whole process of depreciation, amortization, et cetera, et cetera. So your checklist here is meet with an accountant to optimize your tax strategy, convert debt into assets, not liabilities, borrow against equity for tax-free cash flow. So that's when you have a house, you remortgage it and take the equity out. Learn depreciation and amortization strategies. I'm actually doing a course this afternoon on the $8 trillion opportunity. And then where can you allocate to improve diversification? So again, I think that's self-explanatory. I probably don't need to go into those details. It's definitely something I need to go back and look at. If I get vulnerable for a while, you know, I was in a pretty optimal place, and then my divorce kind of napalmed everything. So I need to go back and review this all again and make sure that I'm setting myself up for success. So I'd probably give myself, I need to re-meet with someone. One, you know, I'm making that mistake right now. I'm selling a house in London. So that wouldn't be that. That I know about, which would be 2. And I think I got that covered, 3. So I'd be 3 out of 5 there. Okay, next one. Build muscle, play the cash flow game. So this one's quite simple. Commit to 10 rounds, learn from each mistake or pattern, and watch for recurring patterns that emerge in your decision making. I'm 0 from 3 there because I haven't played this in years in terms of this process. So I really want to, you know, get this going. One of the things I was thinking about as part of the adding value to the wealth hackers, etc., is like having once a month game night, like a cash flow game night. And once again, I'm doing that because I think it'll add huge value to the community, but selfishly it'll also force me to play every month, and every time you play, you learn. Okay, mindset, spirit, and teaching. Just by the way, I'm assuming if anyone's got questions, or comments, they're gonna put them in the chat box. They're gonna raise their hand. I always feel like I'm like literally talking to myself, but anyway, that's just me in my mind. So mindset, spirit, and teaching others. So here, find your music, your purpose. So maybe it was this exercise that made me think about doing the purpose exercise for my MKP group. But yeah, it's I find it quite interesting how Robert spoke a lot about finding your purpose, finding your magic, etc. Surround myself with seekers and teachers. Again, I think for all of you, you can already say that you're doing that. You're either part of the Wealth Hackers or the Mastermind, and I think we're all there. Be courageous, not fearful. This is an interesting one. It reminds me of the slide that I always show you here. Just give me 2 seconds. This one, where 95% of the world is kind of stuck in this away state, withdrawn, fearful, inability to make good choices, demotivated. And only 5% are in this toward state, happy, ability to think clearly, creative, senior opportunities. And I always say that there's 2 ways to be in this state. One is to be in a like-minded group of people that are all going in the same direction. And 2 is get very clear on your outcome. So don't get caught in your problems and your drama. Get very clear on your outcome. And anyone that's part of the mastermind will know that's why I sit with you one-to-one. And we get very clear on your top 3 outcomes, your top 3 priorities, and your top 3 measures. And we use it as that's why we use it as a lighthouse. Like, just to use me as an example, there's my top 3 outcomes, there's my top 3 priorities, there's my top 3 measures. Every single month, I'm checking in, like, right, where am I? What have I done? Am I on track? Yes or no? And that, hopefully, it's all the pictures sort of all coming together now, because that's why that outcome is so important. Okay, and then, yeah, I don't really know what the difference is between be courageous, not fearful, and be courageous. But anyway, we'll take it. It's a reinforcement of being courageous. Oh, just by the way, I had a lovely session yesterday around this purpose. And when, I won't mention the lady's name, but when we went through it, she was like, oh, that's so scary. And I said, yes, it is scary. But there's this slide that I bring up every single month in the mastermind that I think is very important. And it's this one here. Your comfort zone is here. And anything where you leave your comfort zone is scary, but that's where the magic happens. Like, this is probably one of my most favorite pictures, is that this, like, where the magic happens outside of your comfort zone. Was part of a group online, and we played cash flow once a week as a game for our poker night. Oh, that's very cool. That's awesome. Yeah, I want to get that going. I need to stop making excuses and just do it. And then your freedom plan, you might notice this is quite similar to the one that we've built. But what is my current quadrant? What is my passive income goal? What is the first real estate that I'm going to acquire? Who are my key advisors? My financial investment education routine will be this. My teaching commitment, who I will teach, and then the top 3 lessons from Robert Kiyosaki. And then finally, your checklist at the end. Escape the rat race and build lasting financial freedom. Ooh, spelled it wrong there. Play the cash flow game at least 10 times. Audit my current assets. Are they real paper? Accumulate real assets, gold, silver, Bitcoin, real estate, or business. Learn how to use debt strategically. Partner with smart advisors. Track macro trends for focus on my investments. Prepare for cash, have liquidity and a game plan, and join a community of like-minded investors. Other actions, deadline. So that's it. Who'd like a copy of the workbook? Okay, cool. I'll share it all with you. Just by the way, what do you guys think of that? Like, can you see how my brain operates? Where it's like, let's get the theory, but what the hell's the point of a theory if we don't turn it into like a practical guide? And then, and what I'm really interested in, and this is where, I'm letting little secrets out here, but, a year ago, this was just too hard to do. Like, quite frankly, like you would go and write a workbook based on because I've always been very good at taking notes. But then, like, to go and then create a practical guide, like, that's just in the too hard bucket. Like, whereas now you take all the information, you put in ChatGPT, you say, like, right, what are the key action items on this? It goes, you go, cool, now let's create a workbook. It's the same question as what I showed you earlier with the modeling. I just love it, like, because it becomes like, and what you said there, Safina, very practical and powerful. I agree with you, because now it's like, okay, cool. I learned all that information, 5 or 6 hours worth of, live sessions with Robert. We've taken away all the key learnings, and now we've got a practical thing to implement it. And I'm like, wow, that's pretty bloody awesome. So anyway, I'm trying to do that more and more nowadays. Like, it's a bit like what Alan, I mean, you actually witnessed it for those of you live last Friday. Alan asked me a question. I just did it live, like right in front of you. But I did take it to the next level and go, okay, and double check with the family office, etc. But hopefully you can see how my brain is now thinking always. Like, right, what's the question? How do we solve the problem? And then what's a practical way to implement the solution? Thomas says, awesome stuff. A step by step, invest by squares, fill up boxes. Great approach. So yeah, no, it's the sort of thing we should print. I need to figure out a way to make it where I can click on the box. You know how you make it editable. I'll do that so that I can do it live on it. Glenn, this is really powerful stuff. Keep you focused on track. Okay, cool. Okay, so we've been through two different things today. One was effectively the workbook that we have all of us effectively created last Friday. Although it has been sense checked now, so I'm feeling more comfortable that I can share it, and it does have disclaimers in. Oh, ask ChatGPT. Yeah, no, we'll do. Like the one thing to learn that pisses me off with ChatGPT is like every now and again it just gets something wrong, like a spelling mistake, and oh my word, to try and get it to redo what you had just without the spelling mistake, it's so difficult. Like Shane and I have been bugging around all morning with like, okay, here's another example. Sorry, I'm sharing lots of examples today. So how many of you have done the challenge with me? With the 5-day challenge where we've done gone through all the detail, okay? So what we've done now, like here's another little secret, okay? So we've gone and transcribed, we've taken all the transcription of the 5 days of the challenge and we've chucked it in to not ChatGPT this time, but another software system. And we've built a workbook. Now, beforehand to go and build a workbook would have taken bloody weeks and months. Okay, and why I'm telling you this, Glenn, is just because it's stuck in this bloody logo, and this is not the logo. This is not our challenge logo. Like if you go here, our challenge logo looks like this. Okay, so we've been trying to get it to use this flippant logo, but oh my word. But every time we try and get it to use the logo, it gives us a different version. I quite like the way this looks. I think it looks professional. It looks great. I like the coloring. All I want is my bloody logo at the bottom. But every time I asked it to change the logo, it completely stuffed up. I don't know if people enjoy this, but anyway, I'm going to show you. It completely stuffed up my bloody thing. So look here. Like, so there's the first one. And I'm like, cool, lacquer. And then it's like, no, use this logo and gives me that. I'm like, oh, I don't know. I don't know what you guys think of that. It's not bad. Then it gave me this, but it had that stupid logo, which I didn't even ask for. Then it gave me this, which is the one I used because I just gave up. Then it gave me this, which just looked horrendous, including spelling it wrong. And then it gave me this. It gets worse. It's like a child. It's like a child that's hungry and tired. It gets worse, more badly behaved than. So anyway, why I want to show you this is so we now got a workbook for our next challenge next week. So and every single day when you go through the stuff, it'll all be there. And if you think of like things like you'll know about the dabbler, the stressor, and you can check which one you are, and the 7 pillars to wealth, and whether you've done them or not, and what your notes are. So the entire 5 days is now tracked in a workbook. Anyway, I'm proud of myself. I think it's awesome. I think it's going to add so much value to people. No, thanks, Thomas. Shane, I've given it to Shane. My all-knowing Shane has said he'll go and fix the problem. It's just, I think all I was trying to say to Glenn is, it's exactly what I tried to say. Like one little mistake, I'm like, listen, everything's perfect. Just fix that one little mistake, and it just goes pear-shaped. Because we got nowhere close back to what I enjoyed. Anyway, yeah. So I mean, anyone that's part of the Wealth Hackers or Mastermind, I'm happy to share the workbook with you. Yeah, so I'm happy to share it, Safina. Like my kind of philosophy, if you're part of the Wealth Hackers, and even more so if you're part of the Mastermind, like whatever we create, I'll happily share that. There's no issue with that. My only challenge is pretty much exactly how I started earlier today, is just making sure I don't overwhelm people. That's the key. So my point is, I don't know where to put it, because if I put stuff on the WhatsApp group, people are like, "Yeah, it's too much information," and I don't know where to look for stuff. So I'll put it in the school. I'll always put stuff in school, and then if people can go find it in school, etc. The other thing that I just wanted to mention is that, so one of the things Shane was giving me guidance on, because every time I know people can't always make it. So when I upload stuff like this session, so if you go here to community, and you see here, you see how you can choose, like there are these little tabs here. So if you go to the weekly wealth strategy, I click on this, and then like the recordings will be there. So like last week's one will be there, etc. Shane's saying I should do it even more detailed. Like he said I should copy what these guys do. So I'll show you here again how they do it. So you see how they just got replays, and then there's all these replays. Which one do you guys prefer? Do you prefer just having replays like that? So is it replays, or is it like this one here, that weekly wealth strategy? Oh, okay. Everyone's saying replays. Okay. Fine, fine, fine. I'll change it to replays. Anyway, that was Shane's advice this morning as well. Okay, cool. It just gives me, because otherwise there's no point in losing these sessions, but I don't want to go and put them in the library, and, because no one's ever going to, I don't believe that a year from now anyone's ever going to go and watch, all the weeks. But if you miss one this week, you might want to just watch it, etc. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions, thoughts, comments? I want to really reiterate and reinforce what I tried to say just now, that we're really looking from a wealth hacker perspective on how we can add more value. So if you've got ideas, ping me a WhatsApp, put it on the WhatsApp group. No idea is a silly idea. So yeah, let me know. How we can add more value, because I'm a big believer in adding value to community, but it's also a case of knowing what people want, and if people don't tell us, we don't know. Any other thoughts? Anyone want to discuss Ramaphosa and Trump's meeting, and the fact that today, according to The Guardian, the pictures that Trump held up were from another country, not even South Africa. I can't remember where, but it was like Congo or something. So the pictures he had up of Afrikaans farmers being slaughtered was in the Congo. It wasn't in South Africa, according to The Guardian. Don't shoot me. I do not get involved in politics, but it's just something I found interesting this morning. Millicent, you're simplifying everything. Yep, thank you very much. He's not good at geography. It is quite a problem when you have a country's president and you publicly humiliate him for effectively what he's saying is genocide in the country, and he holds up pictures to like literally ambush him on TV, and only to find out that those pictures are not from that country. They're from a different country. So anyway, I can see the humor in it, but I'm not getting involved in politics. I just want to be very clear, because my UCT group has been going on like on and on. I mean, there's so many woke and liberal and whatever in that group that it's like a war zone at the moment. Like, so I'm not having that debate. I just thought it was interesting. Shona, I think what's important. So I am passionate about it, and I've got a huge amount of depth. And what I think is important is that, and even if you want to send it to me one-to-one because you don't feel comfortable to put it on the group or whatever, but like literally, let's just use something as simple as time management. If someone's like, oh, but I assume everyone else knows time management, you'll be surprised. Like in the mastermind calls, when I do them one-to-one with people, time management comes up 9 times out of 10, like just as an example. Okay. So if someone said, hey, I want more stuff on time management, they might also think, oh, it's got nothing to do with wealth. Of course, it's got to do with wealth. If you don't have time to do what's important, then you don't, do whatever. So I'm picking on time management, but it might be anything. It might be purpose. People are like, oh, you can't help with purpose. No, I can. Like, you'd be surprised. uh, so I just think if you don't ask, you don't get. Thanks, Natalie. Oh, well, you see, the thing is, Natalie, that's why you get me on a Friday. Because if it was Monday, I'd be like, oh, gotta go, got the whole weekend, hungover from the weekend, whatever. Like Friday, it's like, woohoo, it's time to go on the boat. It is, to be honest, it is time to go on the boat. The weather's, I've got 2 videos I need to record, and then this afternoon we'll be out in the water. It's fantastic. And I don't tell everyone that to be jealous. I just, because it's truth. It's just awesome. So there is a WH aid being fired. What is that? World Health Organization, I assume. I'm sorry, I don't understand, Thomas. Okay, so Natalie's saying definitely something on time management. And then Shona Akiga. Yeah, so Shona, I'll definitely do that exercise. I'm just not sure I'll be able to do it next week. I will try and plan for it. So let me explain myself. So if you remember how we run the challenge, I kind of do the challenge from 9 until 11, 11:30, and then I do that VIP room afterwards. And so this once, every kind of 8 weeks or 10 weeks, how often we do the challenge, this session and that session overlap with each other, if that makes sense. So we'll be wrapping up the challenge, whatever. If I can, I'd quite like to do it as an exercise next week. In fact, I think it's a good idea. I'll do that because the whole purpose of the challenge is start with your why. And this exercise could actually then tie the whole thing together quite nicely. So I will plan it to try and do it. But if by some chance I can't do it next Friday, I'll do it the following Friday. Christopher said, I'm keen to do what we did today and go into small groups and discuss it. Then we can learn from each other. And if someone is out. Yeah, Christopher, I completely agree with you. In fact, we did that last week as well. In fact, I'm happy to do it now, even if people want to facilitate it, and I can just do breakaway rooms for 5 or 10 minutes. I really want to start doing more of that because for the last 60 minutes, all I've done is talk and people have typed. I think there's so much value in getting into breakup rooms for 2 minutes. So why don't we do it? Let's do it right now. Let's do it for 5 minutes. I know we're a little bit over time, but I'm just going to chuck everyone in for 5 minutes, and I'm going to put the workbook into the WhatsApp group so that you've got it, and maybe just discuss it. And if you need to bounce, then go for it. But let me just see how many people we got in the room. So
Scott,
yeah.
unfortunately, I'm going to have to bounce because I've got another meeting coming up at 12, so I don't want to obviously miss that. So if we can do it at the start of these meetings, that would be more advantageous.
Yeah, so what I'm going to do, Glenn, and again, thank you, Krista, for bringing that up. I'm going to aim to kind of do a learning lesson for like 30 minutes. And then maybe I'll call it for today because I can see a lot of people have got to go. But in future, I'll do a learning lesson for 30 minutes, and then I'm going to put aside 10 to 15 minutes for people to break into groups, and then we can come back and then we can wrap up as a group. I think that'll be a good way to do it going forward.
Yeah, that sounds perfect.
Awesome. Okay. Well,
Have a good weekend.
I'll do a quick
Enjoy the
breakout
water.
room. I'll do a quick breakout room if people want. I'll see how many people leave. But yeah, otherwise I'll run it properly from next time.
Hey, Scott, how's it going?
Hello, hello. Who am I talking with there? Oh, Christopher. Hello, mate.
Yeah, see. Don't know,
Are you in one of the groups, or which group are you in? No.
I don't know, where does it go? Yeah.
Should be a little button that came up and said, move to group. I've left it a bit late, to be honest, but anyway, let's...
Well, we can do I mean, it's only 7 of us left. Maybe we can just stay where we are and pose questions or chats.
There's some people in the rooms, though. That's the point already. So, Elizabeth,
Oh,
this is why I'm a bit confused, Thomas, because you're here, and so is Christopher, but it says you're in a room.
I didn't get any notification or anything. Nothing popped up for me.
Try now. I'll put you in room 3. And Thomas, you should be with Elizabeth in room 1, according to this thing.
I'm also not in a room, Scott.
yeah. I'm
give
still
up.
stuck here in the main.
I give up. What's going on here? Open all rooms. Oh, maybe that was it.
Oh,
there we
go.
go.
I got it now.
Oh shit, I didn't get everyone in the room. Okay, sorry. Was it? I'm just finishing. We paid for them, I don't know.
There's a desk included.
Okay, Scott, I ended up in room 1, but I stayed alone. No, nothing else came through.
Hang on, I'll move you to 3. There's only one room left. Go join the others. There we are.
You need like a nice big area.
I was thinking about your session. We should just call it an accountability and platform session. And then it's just like, it's because like, think of it like Benny and them, like Wednesday sales, whatever. So that it's not you trying to run a 30-day challenge. It's just you there. It's like me, dude. I don't like speed turn up, I don't turn up. Yeah, but Well, but then you were complaining on Wednesday.
No one shows up. That's the problem.
I don't know. I think we are being recorded.